Welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing something a little different and, honestly, absolutely fascinating. We are going to rigorously deconstruct a piece of source material that is so incredibly brief, you might actually miss it if you blinked. Yet it's highly authoritative. It's literally a masterclass in how a text frames itself before you even get to the body copy. The document we're looking at, a Scholastic Standard, the SAT Guide. Let's unpack the heavy lifting happening in just these few, very carefully chosen words. So let's jump right in with a fundamental question. What does it actually mean for a document to claim the definitive title of a standard? Think about it. When you're reading something, how does an author convince you that what you're looking at is the absolute baseline of truth for that subject? It's a remarkably bold psychological move, right? It sets the stage and it sets your expectations long before you've even turned a page. Our entire source text today frames its very existence with this single, audacious assertion found right in its title. Notice how it doesn't ask for your permission to be the authority. It doesn't cautiously say, hey, maybe this is just one perspective among many. No way. Instead, it boldly declares itself a scholastic standard right out of the gate, and it demands this specific, elevated kind of respect from you immediately. Just consider for a second the sheer, raw authority packed into the word standard. In any context, really, a standard implies that something is set in stone. It's the definitive measuring stick that everything else in its category simply has to be judged against. By claiming this specific word, the text instantly demands that we treat whatever comes next with absolute reverence. It's planting a flag that just refuses to be moved. Let's start breaking this down by isolating the first half of the artifact, just to truly grasp the heavy weight it's projecting. When you strategically drop the words the and scholastic right in front of standard, well, you are doing some serious heavy lifting. You're locking this document into the highest, most exclusive echelons of academic rigor. You're effectively telling the reader, hey, sit up, clear your mind, and pay close attention. This is the definitive academic rulebook. And based strictly on our source, this whole concept of a scholastic standard isn't defined by hundreds of pages of tedious data or complex metrics. Actually, it functions as the very structural pillar of the text itself. Without this bold, overarching declaration, the rest of the text would just be random words scattered on a page. But with it, the text completely transcends being just a document and transforms into a veritable institution. Which brilliantly illustrates the deliberate pairing of an educational realm with an unquestionable baseline. Look at the balancing act going on here. On one hand, Scholastic roots us firmly in the classroom, right? In the process of learning, in academia. But on the other hand, Standard roots us in absolute, unshakable truth. You combine those two concepts, and you've created an entity that feels both intellectually elevated and utterly non-negotiable. So, if this kind of rigid, immovable standard exists out there, we naturally have to ask, how does the text actually intend for us to approach it? I mean, we can't just stare at a massive, looming standard all day. We have to figure out how to interact with it, how to use it, and honestly, how to survive it without feeling totally overwhelmed. It needs an entry point. And that brings us to the second pivotal element of our text's title, which promises exactly that kind of navigation, the guide. Think of it this way. If a standard is a massive, deeply intimidating mountain, a guide is the expertly drawn map that helps you safely climb it. This single word beautifully softens the intimidation factor of the standard by generously offering you a reliable helping hand. The really crucial takeaway here is that this text explicitly positions itself as the necessary, totally indispensable tool to traverse this intense academic landscape. It's essentially whispering, yeah, we know the standard is overwhelming, but don't worry, we are the designated safe pathway right through it. It's a brilliant psychological tactic. It intentionally creates this daunting problem and then immediately swoops in as the ultimate exclusive solution. Because it doesn't just present a static idea to passively look at, It implies a directed, active journey for you, the reader. When you engage with a guide, you're entering a social contract. You're agreeing to let go of the wheel and be led safely from point A to point B. It completely shifts reading from a passive consumption of facts into an active process of navigation. It requires your trust and your willingness to follow the path laid out for you. Okay, let's take a step back and look at how this brilliantly builds suspense toward the singular, hyper-focused core of the entire document. We've got this massive, intimidating architecture, a scholastic standard, a definitive guide. But what is all this framing actually pointing toward? What's the ultimate payload quietly waiting for us right at the center of the maze? And finally, we arrive at the absolute center of our source material, the final destination of the guide, the SAT.
Every single word in the title has been a meticulously crafted, perfectly paved runway, purposefully leading up to this exact three-letter concept. All that anticipation, all that authority, funneled directly into this one point.
Now here is where things get truly remarkable, and frankly, a little mind-blowing. This single word, these three letters, is the entirety of the body text we are analyzing today. It stands completely alone on the page. After all that massive, heavy framing in the title, the document delivers just one acronym. It is a stunning, unapologetic display of extreme textual minimalism. We can define it strictly within the boundaries of our provided text as the very subject the guide seeks to conquer. Because it's the absolute only word in the body text, it acts exactly like a black hole, intensely absorbing all the energy, weight, and authority of the title above it. The text doesn't even need to explain what the SAT is. The framing has already done the heavy lifting of telling us it is the ultimate, undeniable Scholastic Standard. You really have to notice the vital, symbiotic relationship established here between the overarching framing device and its incredibly concise subject. The guide acts as the expansive, welcoming, almost sheltering framework, while the SAT is the dense, gravity-heavy core sitting squarely in the middle. The sheer contrast between that highly descriptive, multi-word title and the completely isolated body text makes for an incredibly powerful psychological impact. Stripped of all other context, definitions, or supporting paragraphs, these three letters are forced to carry the complete, heavy burden of the title's massive academic claim. In a really fascinating way, by providing literally no other information, the text boldly assumes you already know the intense gravity of those three letters. It uses silence, empty space, and the purposeful absence of explanation to actively amplify their overriding importance. The stark minimalism of the source material practically forces us to step back and question the sheer confidence of this presentation. Think about it. Most texts try to earnestly persuade you with long-winded arguments, endless data points, and pages upon pages of paragraphs. But this text, it simply states its subject and drops the mic. It takes an unbelievable amount of institutional confidence to present information this starkly and expect the reader to just nod and accept it. As we start to wrap up this explainer, let's loop back to the powerful framing that sparked our initial deconstruction. We've seen today how a few carefully chosen words in a title, the Scholastic Standard and Guide, can magically elevate a single three-letter acronym into a monolithic academic presence. The structure and the framing literally do all the talking here, leaving the subject itself to just exist in quiet, unbothered authority. So, I want to leave you with this final thought to apply to your own reading. When presented with a concept that outright declares itself as the absolute standard, especially when presented with such stark, uncompromising minimalism, is our role as readers to simply blindly follow the guide? Or is it to stop, take a breath, and interrogate the standard itself? Thanks for exploring this fascinating framework with me. Keep asking the hard questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.